Hey everybody, Jason here. Been a couple days since I've uploaded a video, and I was working a little bit more on one of my two homemade systems that I've been working on and creating. And one of the subjects that I was kind of focused on today was magic, and this would be the more, I guess, rules crunchy version of the two games I'm working on. Still pretty rules light, but more crunchy than the 1 hour fantasy I was working on. So the idea that I had a couple ideas for magic. And now this, for reference, this game goes from levels 1 to 10. Whereas the 1 hour game goes from levels 1 to 5. I'm really honestly I'm not a fan of levels either. I don't like classes, but I also not real big. I get why levels exist, and I can see the value in them. I'm just still not really a big fan of levels. But anyway, in regards to understanding character growth, it's in terms of mechanics, like what you can and cannot do, how strong you can become in certain aspects of your life, certain skills you learn, things like that. I understand the importance of levels and how it can be a help. So I'm totally cool using levels in this game. And anyway, so there's 10 levels in the game, and I haven't really decided on how I'm going to do spells, as far as, do you have to learn a spell to cast it like in D&D, or is it a free-form type magic system where you can kind of create your own spells on the fly? Although over time, if you begin to cast the same spell, once or twice, or maybe the minimum of it just one time, I guess, you can take some time and try and record that that spell in your spell book to make it easier for you to cast down the line. So if you have your spell book on you and you're in the middle of trying to cast a spell, and you're like, well, I know I cast spider climb once before, or the equivalent of whatever spider climb would be in this game world or whatever. I know I've cast that before. Let me open my book and try and find it. Oh, maybe you get a bonus on your casting or something, or if it's something that you've never tried to cast before, but the difficulty is, X, or whatever. That's going into, I guess, part of the system that I'm not making this video for. This is the point of this video, I guess, is how to fuel your spells in this world. So I don't want it to be a Vancian system, just because we've seen that so many times and it works for what it is. I just interested in something a little new, a little different. So I've had three things that I've been looking at as far as how spells work. One thing, and this is the simplest, easiest, and probably the most common, aside from Vancian spells, is having a mana pool, and the spell level determines the mana cost. Like if it's a 3rd level spell, it costs 3 mana. And then your mana regenerates over time. Very simple, nothing new. There's nothing exciting about that. It's simple and different, and it works. One other thing I thought of was maybe a variation on that. So each level of a spell would cost mana, a varying mana cost. Basically, it would be each type of spell or spell level would cost a certain die of mana. Like, so when you cast it, it could be a d6, so it costs between 1 and 6 mana. And there's a little danger there. You never know what it's going to cost. So if you're low on mana, could cost you more than you have. And you could either, the spell could fail, or you might be able to take a talent that lets you, like what I was thinking of was called Blood Mage, where if you roll more than what it costs, you lose. Like say the spell costs 6, or I'm sorry, you roll a die and it costs 6 mana, but you only have 4 left. Well, those other 2, you could shave those off of your hit points. Therefore, you're a Blood Mage. You can sacrifice your own health to fuel the spell. And that's not a talent anybody has as a spellcaster. That's a talent you have to learn, kind of like a feat in, like, 5th edition D&D or something. So there's that. To add a little spice and creativity to it, the other one that I was thinking of is the more complex of all of them, and the most different, I guess, and not different in terms of how the mechanics work, but different in terms of being applied to spell casting. And I take this as part of the mechanics from the Black Hack, and that your mana is a resource die. And so, in a way it is. But what it would be like is every rank, so in this game there's a spell system, there's a skill system going 1 through 6. And whatever, like say you are rank 3, which would each rank of arcane casting would give you 1, whether or not you're actually able to cast a spell of a certain level, because it takes the skill to cast it. So it would take a skill roll to cast a spell, plus each rank would give you a die code of your mana. So like say you are rank 3, that would be, and this is just an example, a die code of a d6, okay? Say a d6 mana die is what you have. So you want to cast a spell that is of, say, you want to cast a rank 4 spell. So you would have to roll higher than that spell rank, the difficulty of the spell, or the spell rank is the difficulty of the mana. So you'd have to roll higher than a 4 on a d6. If you do, not a problem. You channel your mana with no problem, and you stay refreshed, and you're fine. If you roll under that number, or if you roll equal to or less than 4, the strain it causes of your body to push through the forces of chaos and magic and mana through your body to channel it's very stressful, and it wears on your body, and you drop down to a d4. So, but again, with this also, you could learn Blood Mage. So if it, say you wanted to cast a spell of rank 5, but you only had a d4, you could still cast it. You'd roll your die, and whatever you rolled on that would be applied to that rank number. So say you rolled a 3, well, you'd still need 2 to get through that, so you could burn off 2 health points to fuel the rest of that spell. So you could still cast things above your current mana level, but it would just drain you even more. It's more taxing on you. And you also would have to drop down a rank of another die rank of mana, because you're forcing it through your body, and it's tearing your body up. It's stressful. So that's how I kind of was imagining that this last version of what I just spoke, the more complex version, was kind of going to be my default for that, just because it's so different. And I want magic to be dangerous and scary and stressful, and I want there to feel like there's some weight behind casting spells, that there's some danger behind it, not just, oh, I've got 2 slots for 4th level spells I can cast today, and 4 slots for level 3 spells, and blah blah blah. I want there to be an unknown. I want magic to be dangerous, and I want it to feel like old sorcery and have some sort of mysticism behind it, some mystery, and you don't know what you're gonna get. I want there to be some sort of something else behind magic. I want it to feel magical. I don't want it to be like a simple plus and minus game. I know that dice and stuff makes it that, but there's also that whole, and if you don't take Blood Mage and you roll over your spell, you can either have the spell go off with a detriment, which would be up to the GM to decide what it would be, or it just fizzles out, but you don't suffer any ill effects other than dropping down a die code of mana. So that would be another. There have to be repercussions for things of casting magic that doesn't function properly and things like that. So that was my idea for how to cast magic in this system that I'm making. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of like Robert E. Howard casting magic, characters like sorcerers and that, or a little bit of maybe of Lovecraft, not necessarily that you'd go crazy, but things like that, where magic just has this unknown element because it's not a quantifiable like science. It's magic. You don't know what the cost is going to be for casting magic. But if you're a super powerful sorcerer, and you have a die code of D8, and you go to cast a second level spell, more than likely you're going to roll a 3 or higher on the D8. So there's a low chance that it will backfire or mishap or burn you out or something. The chaoses of magic are a little more, you can withstand those powers a little more because you have grown in strength as a sorcerer. But there's always that one chance that the magic is just so chaotic and unpredictable and whatnot that it just kind of stresses your body out and takes a toll on you and burns you up a little bit. So you'll drop down that die code rank. Or, if you don't want to drop down that die code rank, say you roll a 2 or a 1, you could pay the cost of that spell level in blood, in health, not to drop down a rank, or the difference, I should say. You could pay the difference. Minimum of 1. Or something to that. If I could work that exact cost out later, but you get the idea. So if you wanted to if you were a blood mage, you could always pay for a spell regardless. Maybe you could pay for the spell ahead of time so that for sure you won't drop down a rank. I don't know. I'll figure that out later, but you could always mana burn without dropping a die code of your mana die. Just an idea. I know talking to one of my friends at work, and he is really fond of the idea of just having a straight cost and mana pool, which is very vanilla and video game by the books, simple casting system, which is okay, but I love the idea of having that more dangerous, unknown, having to roll a die and possibly having that die code drop down because you're burning through mana and things like that. And also the possibility of, just through sheer luck, of dice rolling and a combination of that and your higher skill in magic, you can cast as many spells as you want per day and never wear down because you have good dice rolling. And that might make the game a little unbalanced and things like that. And maybe it makes a wizard a little overpowered, but that's the nature of it. That's the upside, the balance, the trade-off of possibly being hurt, even killed, by burning through mana and it ravaging your body. So there's the plus bonus that you could always cast as many spells as you want per day and be a total badass, and it's really unbalanced. I'm not looking for game balance in this game also. That's another thing that I should point out. I'm not worried about challenge ratings. I'm not worried about encounter balance. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. If you get put up against a creature or an encounter of any sort, I should say, I want there to, either Don't try and fight your way out of it. Try and bribe your way out. Try and talk your way out. Use role playing. If this is an encounter that you think, if say you're a starting out, beginning novice character that's just going out into the world, and you come across a dragon, yeah, if you try to draw your sword on it, you're probably dead, unless you get super lucky with your dice rolls. But you never know. Maybe you could talk your way out of it. You could form into an alliance. You can make an offering. Maybe, the dragon is not there to fight. Maybe the dragon wants to talk to you. I want there not to be encounter balance. I'm not worried about encounter balance. I want it to be more realistic and more organic. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like, oh, well, this is the starting level, the starting forest of a video game, so I'm only going to come across creatures that are level 1 or 2, so I know this is where I should be at this level. I'm not looking for that type of hand-holding in a game. I want it to be dangerous and mysterious, and you'd never know what you're getting. You don't know who you're dealing with. You could come across a knight that is in full plate mail with an awesome-looking bejeweled sword and this and that. Well, guess what? Maybe that person is not who you think they are. Maybe they are someone who inherited this stuff, and they know nothing about fighting, and they're just like a level 0 character, an NPC. Or maybe they stole it, so they're like a level 4 thief, or whatever the case may be. I want things to be not always what they seem, and not predictable and different. That's what I want magic also to be in this game. I want sorcery to be a sense of wonder and fear and excitement, and I want you to feel like you're rolling the dice, man. Sometimes literally rolling the dice, but figuratively rolling the dice in a story sense when you cast magic. And I feel like that ladder, the ladder of the 3 things I explained, is a good skeleton, a good framework to build upon with a magic system to do that. So that was just some ideas I had. If anybody wants to chime in below and make some comments about maybe some things that might add a little bit to it, or what your thoughts are, things like that, I am, again, always open to suggestion, and I'm always open to comments and seeing how everybody thinks something might play out. So anyway, I'm almost home, and I didn't ramble too much, which is a change for me. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully you guys can drop some comments, or even a video response would be even better. I love video responses. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good weekend, and take care. Also, I got to play my first game session in 3 months since April, over the weekend, and it was pretty good. So anyway, I'm happy about that. So anyway, see you guys later, and take care.